What's up? Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful, drizzly day today here in Staten Island. Welcome to Awaken 24 podcast. I'm Eric Oliva. What an amazing time it is to be alive. Why? With all the shit that we're going through every day for the last how many years we've been on this planet, how many people we've experienced, how many family members told us this, that, and how many things that we've gotten ourselves into, be it from business to relationships to just being in our own head and screwing shit up, or being in our own head and really making the best and becoming successful at being happy and fulfilling whatever goal, whatever thing that we decided to put on our plate and eat up and make it awesome. Well, I want to share something with you. I want to share a little bit about my experiences, and these experiences, I'm going to narrow it down to one thing only for this podcast, and that one thing is thinking you know. It's pretty interesting, because what we think we know and then we act on, we end up following, building a story, and then sticking by that story stubbornly. And throughout our experience of life, what happens? We become conflicted with opposing views about what is actually happening out there in the world. And when I say happening in the world, I mean happening in your world, your mind, and your immediate experiences from your family, your friends, your work, your business, your own personal habits, hobbies, etc. So I'm going to go a little bit further into me. So check this out. For so long, 31 years to this day, basically to this year, I was into self-introspection from 8 years old. Looking in, finding out what makes me tick, finding out why I do things I do, why I think things I think, why I say things I say, what interests me, who influenced me with those interests, and so on, and what really is funny is that I've gone through all my years thinking I know exactly how I am, what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Though I do know what I want to do with the rest of my life, which is help people find their greatest potential, no matter how small or how big it is, because if it's a small potential, it's still great. It's greater than the one that's lesser, okay? Greater than the negative self-talk, greater than the automatic negative thinking. I love that term. Okay? So I used to think I knew everything about me. And it wasn't until I experienced a very, very big, emotionally traumatic experience back in 2009 with two very close people that I start to find I probably, or most definitely, have a big-ass issue. And the big-ass issue is, am I too kind? Is there such a thing as too kind? Am I too stubborn? Am I too impulsive? Am I delusional? All these things that everyone else said of me. Not everyone, just those two people. And their actions towards me, based on their view of me, became an extremely horrible situation. And my fight against them, though validated by their negative talk towards me, negative actions, and almost wanting to make me a victim of their abuse, really pushed me in a direction to look a little deeper. But that look that I did, that brought me deeper, actually had me end up ripping every single belief that I had and that I had held so dearly, so strongly, and it caused me to go into, I guess, what people called in the 80s and 90s a midlife crisis, even though I was 30 years old. I was flipping out for 7 years after the initial 3 years of try to make me a victim and make me this, that, and the other thing to just really break me down and destroy my life. I decided, you know what? I got to take more time. And self-introspection takes an extremely long time, and it takes a lot of effort, a lot of push. Okay? And it brought me to I can't say so much of a crossroads as much as it is a decision. Do I continue the same concepts of thought, value, principles that led me to the point where it attracted people to be such in a way that is just detrimental to my mental, emotional, and physical health? Or do I change? Now, it's hard when you have values, because when you value certain things, you have these principles that validate your values. You're sitting there going, well, what else do I have? That's the very core of me. But that's exactly what you have, and that's a lot, because when you start to break down the very core of what you think is you really begin to see deeper, and you begin to see the truth that lies inside your mind, your emotions, your habits, your every bit of makeup of your body and being, and throw it out, because you gotta throw it out. Why? If you don't throw it out in front of you, you're not going to see it piece by piece. You have to admit that there's an issue. You have to tell yourself, this thing isn't working. This thing has brought me such and such experiences, my decisions, plus the decisions of others, and the fact that I valued how they did, or even if it wasn't people, maybe it's just conditions, situations that you experience, not necessarily people directly doing things to you, but just things that are happening around you, and you build up a story about them out of, dislike, or you didn't get benefit from, and it brought you a little stress, it brought you a lot more stress, and then it builds up to extreme stress. Okay, these things, it all stems from what you value, your principles, and how you go about executing them in your own personal daily life. So what I did was, I spent 7, 8, maybe 9 years of breaking the shit out of myself to a point of mass depression. And it wasn't that I was breaking them down that brought me depression. It was the fact that I was unwilling to see that I did have an issue, that things were just happening, and if I accepted them and valued them, then they were happening to me. And therefore, I changed my perspective, and that threw a tornado, a hurricane of frigging crap all over the place, where I was just swimming in my own self-doubt, self-defeat, negative self-talk, and automatic negative thinking, and the whole entire plethora of my life is shit. Even though I had accomplished amazing things. And what is that accomplishment of amazing things? From my development and my personal experiences, from meditation to Qigong therapy, which is a style or a methodology of medical hands-on healing, utilizing your mind to influence yourself and another person's physical state and mental, emotional state, okay? To learning body work, to touching the ideas of movement through martial arts, meditative movement, even yoga, and all this, and developing a whole entire lifestyle, personality, and philosophy based on other philosophy, like ancient philosophies, maybe let's say Taoism and Confucianism and Buddhism, okay? And then finding that after I made all this for myself, the people around me either could have been in their own mind of jealousy, anger, and their own self-doubt and low self-esteem and all that crap. So their actions towards me and my actions towards them and reactions back and forth, validated negative self-talk, validated my resentment and anger and regret, and it threw me into a whirlwind of, depression for a long time, even though I knew that there was a way out, and I was still working on getting to that way out. And then it finally hit me. That way out was very clear. The way out was, I do have a problem. My problem isn't psychotic. My problem is negative self-talk and misplacement of my values and principles. I had to change what had led me to become the negative person, pessimistic person I was personally. And I had to change that. I had to admit that these things were the issue. And that is a big step for anyone to take in order to make their lives better. So if you can admit that there is an issue, doesn't matter if you think it's outside or inside, what matters is that you recognize that you are the one responsible for how you experience life, your life, and how you go about doing things within that life experience, then you can really make a change. One small change that can really, really throw you into a momentum of awesome friggin' change. I mean, change is a big word. Okay? So with my little tidbit of experience that I've had as 9 years of just going slowly and deeper into depression, negative self-talk, self-hate, self-doubt, self-defeat. I mean, all these things just piled on. And with that little tidbit, I hope you can understand that if you just accept, all right, I got to change something about me because the shit around me ain't changing. And if I continue with the same concept, I'm going to get the same things, the same results. And no matter who's around you telling you, how much they love you, be it your spouse, your siblings, your family, your best friend, whatever. Even a podcast telling you, hey, you're doing this. It's okay. You have to change. You need to assess your reaction, your action, your thoughts. You're not, things aren't so bad as you say they are. You're not as bad as you think you are. You have to accept that could be true. And alongside the negative self-talk, know that the negative self-talk will never be true. It is never true. If you truly suck at something, fine. Get a skill, build it up. But if it's just you doubting yourself and saying you can't and saying this isn't going to work and I'm going to be stuck like this forever, or, people don't respect me and they got to get their shit together and all this, it's a struggle. And what really needs to happen is just to tell yourself that shit ain't working. Just is not going to work. We have to look deeply within our reflection, not just in a mirror, but deep inside, and rip apart and go into the places we know we can control. And those things we can control, truthfully, our decision making, what we're going to decide. Nothing is set in stone. Things don't last forever like that when it comes to your mind. It's always going to change, but we're stuck in some cyclic loop, a loop basically, of the same things to keep us safe, because once we go out of our comfort zone of negative self-talk, because it becomes a comfort zone, you fear, you don't want to change it. Once we go out of that zone, we do one thing that's contrary to our negative self-talk, our self-hate, and all that. Once we do that, we see that one little step of happiness. Look, life is not going to be without stresses. Use stress. Use adversity to get stronger. At the same time, don't let the stress make you feel or make you think that, I've experienced this crap. Now I'm back 2 steps, I fell back. I failed. You didn't fail, man. Once you get up, the stresses rise with you. It's okay. It's how you go about sifting through it, navigating through it. Your decisions, your initial self-thought. What is this? How is it good for me? How can I be good for it? And just apply. When you can do that, life becomes a joy because it's in your hands. I'm going to leave you with this short little podcast, but I want to go a little bit into that tidbit of break out of your negative self-talk, self-hate, automatic negative thinking. It's my favorite new term. Okay? And you can do it by small steps, small little changes, because that's really, really how you're going to see your growth. Keep a growth mindset, everyone. Be awesome. Don't let shit take you down. Nothing can bring you down except you and your stories you tell about it. So, wake up. Be happy. You're loved. I love you. People love you. People value you. But you must see that value in you. That is the first, foremost thing you must do. All right? Be well. Leave a comment by sending me an email, Eric, ERIK, at awaken24.com. Peace.